And we are very deeply honored here at Ladies Fund to be invited by IPVS to hold a session right now on media and social media stakeholder engagement. This is very important for the promotion of the awareness of cervical cancer. Thank you so much for the introduction of me, and I have a great honor to introduce some of my panelists. So first we're going to begin with Wallia, Fatima. So if you can come join me. This amazing dynamic journalist is part of the News International, Pakistan's largest English circulating newspaper. We're deeply honored to have her, and Dr. Nuzhat Khan, who has actually got her own TV show on TVOne. She's going to also add a lot to this panel. So first we'll have each introduce themselves.
Hello, assalamu alaikum everyone. So I work with at the News International, and I've been working here for the past 2 years. I also am a student of psychology. So this cause is something that speaks to me very closely because I know someone who went through cervical cancer, and so it's very personal to me. And obviously, being a woman, I'm very aware about this, and I think every woman should be aware about this because there's a lack of awareness for these causes because they're not talked about, because they're deemed very taboo. So it's great that Ladies Fund is spreading this awareness regarding this very important topic, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Wallia. We also have the incredible Dr. Nuzhat Khan, who's not only Pakistan's first female oceanographer, but she's sitting on today's panel specifically in context of how she has her own TV show that is on TVOne and going through different sectors each week. Dr. Nuzhat, if you can talk about yourself as a journalist in the media and so forth.
Thank you, Dara, and congratulations for organizing such a amazing event, or maybe panel discussion. And this is something that cervical cancer is not very popular cancer among our society. The things which we normally publicize is mostly the cancer relate to breast cancer and others as well. So why I'm here in this panel, we have been doing one TV show on Wake Up Pakistan and the morning show over TVOne and News1. Seema Tahir and Tahir Khan Sahab, they are very generous in portraying national issues on social media, like flag marathon session, and yesterday we did one program on women health in Florida, and we also conduct climate change waste, hospital waste, and I love to do a program on cancer as well, because cancer, we don't want to talk. We want to talk, but we don't want to talk because something is unacceptable, denying. We don't want to realize by ourselves. It's not talking to others, just talking and realizing with ourselves as well. So these kind of awareness sessions and panel discussions can create an awareness session to share, to communicate about that. Because the cancer is something, a burden for a patient in a family and a society. So we'll be discussing some more when this is going on, and we'll take the questions as well. Thank you, Dara.
Thank you. So the importance and purpose of today's session is specifically to do with media and social media engagement. Everyone here has a blog, everyone here has social media platforms as well as usernames and membership across the board, whether it be the most common of Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or even LinkedIn or Pinterest and TikTok. So we're going to have a little discussion about how these platforms can be used specifically for bringing cervical cancer awareness. Wallia, can you share your opinions and thoughts as this is a brainstorming session?
So since I work in a women's magazine and I work very closely with women's issues, we are in print media but we're digital as well. And that is something that we had to get accustomed to over time. We had to get into the digital field because right now social media is the most, if not one, but the most powerful tool that we can use for anything, for any purpose. Like if we talk about the flood situation that's happening right now, there's a lot of it that happens, it gets talked about on social media. If it's something that's happening on the other part of the world, then also we are aware of it because of social media. So it's not about just reaching to people around you or just in our country. I think social media has that power, or media has that power, if used correctly and used responsibly, to reach out to people across the globe and have a very wide outreach. If you're given a platform where you can spread awareness and where you can speak out, then you should always, but responsibly. I'm not saying that you should only engage in these, everything, and everyone has a different platform. So being a woman, I personally feel no matter what platform I am on or where I'm coming from, these issues are something that everyone should talk about, irrespective of if you're a blogger, a lifestyle blogger, a fashion blogger. But because these things are happening to us, they're happening to women, they're happening everywhere, they're happening in the rural areas, the urban areas. So it's important to talk, to spread awareness if there is nothing else you can do, because starting a conversation is what's important.
Thank you. So LADIESFUND not only itself has social media platforms, but we have the Educated Girl Project, which is educating girls vocationally across Pakistan, and we've also educated girls in Nigeria. One thing key about the program is it began to educate girls to be journalists. Why? Because we wanted more voices out there. So it partnered initially with the Institute of Journalism. So we have 5,000 female journalists and bloggers throughout Pakistan. And many, I think eight have now become news anchors. So it's quite extraordinary, the power of voice and communication. And we partnered with several embassies as well as the IPVS Center of Excellence in Journalism to train our educated girls in the cutting edge of every form of journalism. And we partnered also with Arts Council and the Australian High Commission to train 400 girls in climate journalism. Why is this relevant to this conversation? When they went and did these courses, the biggest trainings were integrity in journalism. And especially as this topic is both media and social media, one of the elements is that social media can be real time, of course, but it can also not have that same accountability. So you have to be very careful what you believe in the information that's spread. So with cervical cancer, not only is it important to have media and social media coverage, it's actually important also to have some sort of accountability built into journalism. And I think it's important to spend a couple minutes discussing that. Because where cancer is concerned, misinformation can be more dangerous than actual information. And so even if we're doing a campaign today, we're going to give you all hashtags, and this is happening Facebook Live, if any, God forbid, form of miscommunication comes in, it can become viral in a second, particularly with social media. So this panel is not only going to address media and social media across TV and newsprint, and Salima is joining us with her very popular Karachista blog, but it also has to discuss at its core how we have to protect the integrity and the quality of information that's being made viral. So I just wanted to spread that moment of thought. Now, Dr. Nuzhat, can you talk about how TV as a medium can, not just through your show, but other ways, whether it be documentaries or storytelling or cases or so forth, what ways do you think it can be done to promote awareness of cervical cancer?
Thank you, Dora. This is part of the awareness. I appreciate LADIESFUND and Tara, her initiative, and we all together. especially the TV is a strongest tool, because in our rural area, it's still TV is a very popular entertainment. If in other countries they use this TV, it's not just TV commercials, TV drama, they use them as a social satire. Just next to our border, they all, if you look at their dramas, if you just experience their advertisement, they all are social satires. So we can develop a social satire maybe with some companies or maybe pharmaceutical, other, and we may ask them just to create that this is awareness for that, this cancer. And it's not something we need to worry about, but this is a curable, unless and until we diagnose it in a very early stage. We do have survival in our family because they were diagnosed in a very, very early stages. If we able to communicate like that, similarly we saw and experienced the COVID ads. That kind of documentaries and advertisement and social messages are very important. We may ask our writer to write short dramas on different cancers, how they diagnose it, how they survive. And this is, trust me, this is the strongest tool for creating awareness. Thank you.
Such insight, Dr. Nuzhat. Thank you for that. Wallia, if you can actually guide us on your thoughts on how social media in particular and digital media can give comfort to this sensitive topic, particularly as it's dealing with women's bodies.
I think, thank you Tara for that question. If you're talking about comfort, when you are going through something, when a human being suffers, it's always consoling to know that there's someone else that went through it, and maybe they survived it. They came out of it, and and if that person is willing to share their story with everyone and talk about their journey of how they fought cancer and survived it, I think the person that's going through it, gains strength from them, and they find comfort and solace that, maybe I can do it too. And I think for me, I am a strong believer in hope. I think hope is something that, pushes us forward. It's something that every human being should have. If you don't have hope, you don't have any purpose of living. So when people come up with their own stories, the other people who are going through it, they feel a sense of hope, which I think is very important when you're talking about cancer. Because as we know that we're still finding a cure for cancer, and people obviously who go through it, I cannot speak on their behalf because obviously it's not something I have experienced, and God forbid, may God save us from this illness. But people who do go through it, I think they need this, if you've been through it and if you're comfortable with it, coming out and talking about it, you don't realize the kind of impact that you can create through just speaking. People connect with you, and again, it's like for them, it's something that that they can hold on to, and then fight it and come out of it. Also, I think that even if you've not been through it necessarily, I feel like even doctors or medical workers, they need to talk about it. They need to talk about more about the early symptoms to catch on to it, and so that you can get diagnosed earlier, and because obviously early diagnosis is very important for a cure. So I think in these few different ways, very simple ways, we can reach out to these people, and you never know how you're helping someone through your voice.
That was very, very insightful. There could be no conversation in 2022 about social media and media outreach without talking about influencers. Both in conversation on the influencers themselves, i.e. those who have an Instagram account and so forth, but also the influence of celebrity. Nowadays, a celebrity talking about something, especially if it's a personal story, but even if it's not, can often have more outreach than any other form. Although Dr. Nuzhat was incredibly wise to mention the dramas and the serials and the sort of the soap opera, the Sas Bahu culture we have here doing, which means daughter and mother-in-law for our non-Urdu speaking guests. That is a very popular form of drama across Pakistan especially. And the use of a storyline on this topic could be very powerful in that way. But one of the most important things happening in our country right now are the floods. And the biggest dialogue in the last 2 days has been about Angelina Jolie coming to Dadu and being there for the flood victims and doing outreach, and how Atika Kiani, one of our local celebrities, has done the same. But the majority of celebrities have been up in Toronto with Hum TV doing the Hum Awards. And so far they haven't had the chance to visit the flood victims. So while there's no judgment ever at LADIESFUND, and there's no judgment in this panel, the social media has been very, very harsh with criticism of why celebrities haven't done more to promote flood victims. So similarly, with a cause like this, if influencers, that is the social media influencers as well as celebrities, can be drawn in to become ambassadors for this. And often that happens when someone, God forbid, themselves gets this cancer. But it can also happen simply with outreach from us to them. Whether someone sees this panel, someone meets some of these organizers, or if anyone's writing about it or putting it on their TV show, suddenly you have someone writing dramas or serials or somebody who is a celebrity or influencer saying, you know what, let's start this conversation. Although there is a huge dialogue on breast cancer in our country, as mentioned, the First Lady herself has a task force on it, and we partnered with her for LADIESFUND, as well as we partnered with many, many other outreach organizations for the last several years on breast cancer. Cervical cancer doesn't, at the moment, have that same name or awareness. And in the case of this conference, most people we are engaging with are telling us it's their first conference they know about. Now, if there's been 10 more conferences before, then we're just unaware. So the key is how to bring the awareness, how quickly we can start, and the stages, and using influencers for that through social media, as well as video shout-outs, celebrities maybe visiting patients in hospitals who have it, and so forth. Dr. Nuzhat, I'm sure you have more ideas.
The students really plays miracles, and this is the hub of the students and youngsters. They can make a group, the pressure group for creating awareness. They all are connected with social media. They are basically ambassador for us. And we may connect with them and they may connect with us. Anything we need to promote is youngsters, the young youth. And most of them also love to be the anchor, maybe actor, maybe producer or director. So my humble request to teachers, they can create a small documentary through the students networking, maybe public awareness, social satire, something like that, small shows, road shows, whatever they can do that, especially mass communication. As somebody is discussing with me to have a lecture on in a mass communication, but also you can do that. And HEJ is a research hub, and you can publish your research in the form of maybe drama or talk show. You will discuss that. Come and discuss. It's like everyday talk, not like exclusive science. It's a science for anybody and everybody around. This should be talked in a common language, in a very everyday routine something, so we can able to talk, we can able to understand the situation. So this is my humble request for all these teachers and students. You want to ask something?
Thank you. So we also have the opportunity here that if you are an academic, if you are a doctor, and if you have cervical cancer, for example, God forbid, you can start your own blog. you can already begin chronicling these stories or information officially. One thing amazing about social media is there's no barrier to entry. Here we have someone with their own TV show on a major, huge channel, and someone who's writing for the largest circulating newspaper. But for social media, you can start a Twitter account. And one thing we always teach our educated girl scholars is the whole world can know what you have to say in an instant. How viral it becomes is a sense of depending on what you say and luck and how other people pick up on it, but there's no barrier to entry. Now, before we invite Salima to join this panel, we will actually take a few audience questions. So does anyone have a question that they wish to ask? So if the mic can go to Athia, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very nice discussion actually. I have this my observation is kind of that I have seen, you know, if we have in social media any kind of fashion or something, you have so thousands, millions of followers, and but if someone talking about health or education or anything, you know, really something, maybe hardly you can find few thousand even is a really high number. So how could we deal such kind of situation? What should we do?
So the reality on that, and I know Dr. Nuzhat also has a thought on that, is that the topic itself is fun and interesting and, let's say, more lightweight. So it's easy for people to spread that. And also people tend to wear less clothing and to make things a little bit interesting. If you have that same model in her outfit making a statement about this cause, it can also be promoted very heavily. So it's not only about fashion, it's what the look and the feel and the glamour and the lightness of that making a statement can also include and make it more viral. Dr. Nuzhat.
You rightly said it. I'm doing a very scientific show on TVOne and Newsone. This is all about blue economy, climate change, waste management. My followers are not much. There are two reasons behind it. They're just entering in a new means of talking, right? We normally don't talk like cancer, like climate change, like other things. They're not get used to of talking about these things. So we have very few followers, right? But if we keep talking, we keep communicating and engaging people around us. If I engage you, that means I'm engaging you with maybe 100 different people. The engagement of people are very important. It's not just to publicize something, just to project something, but you have to find something. It's like कहते हैं मसाला कुछ होना चाहिए. As she said, maybe some celebrity come and talk about that. Maybe some, like Dr. Tariman sir come and talk about that. It's going to be more famous in HEJ at least. Like the students and teachers love to look at that. What Dr. Atta said about that cancer. What maybe somebody. So it is very important to understand how we can penetrate these topics to a general public. Number one is language is matter a lot. Duration matter a lot. Our only visual is maybe 30 seconds to 1 minute, and we normally forward it very quickly. If you like it, we forward it. If you don't like it, we delete it. The content is very important, and the duration is very important, and who is saying is very important. And on top of that, we have to be very vigilant. If somebody is not following us, just keep doing. Keep doing. One day, the public will follow you.
Thank you. I just wanted to add one other thing to what I said earlier. There is no barrier to celebrity as well. So if you've heard of Dr. Nighat Science Guy, you can actually have someone who's not a celebrity, who's not a model, talk about this topic and it become viral if it just strikes a human connection. And that I myself am so excited to one day find out who will be that person. whether it comes from this community if they're watching today, or how that will happen, because it's very, very possible and exciting. Wallia.
Okay, addressing your question, I think as human beings, especially in today's world, I think everyone is going through tough times, everyone is going through a hard time, everyone has their own problems to deal with. So I understand that, me myself also, I wouldn't lie and say that I would rather, watch something lighthearted rather than something serious. But again, like I previously said, if these very people can use their platform responsibly, when they have an audience, when they have people viewing them, you just don't keep on, being a fashion influencer, or you don't keep on being a celebrity, or you don't keep on being, having a blog. There are other things that you need to talk about as well, but again, that is a responsibility that one takes up, and I think it's a choice. I think everybody makes a choice to talk about what they want to and not want to. Other than that, again, as Dr. Nuzhat said, our dramas and our media, the showbiz is something that's very massively watched, and I think delivering that in a different manner, dealing it sensitively and also maybe in a light-hearted manner, if you can tackle these issues and connect to the audience in that way, I think we can put across a message to many people out there. If you're talking about something serious, it does not have to be delivered in a serious way as well. It can be delivered in different ways and different mediums. So you don't have to, obviously it is very heartbreaking, but the thing is that people connect with you when, there is emotion involved, there's like it has to be a little light-hearted as well, because people cannot digest too much of seriousness. So I think there's a way that you can talk about these things and deliver these things and connect with people so that it gets more talked about.
Thank you so much, Wallia. We also now, although we are at our time, we request if we can have just 5 extra minutes as we have another panelist. So we have the amazing Salima Feerasta, who is an Oxford-educated blogger and has a lifestyle account with a lot of fashion called Karachista, which is one of the most popular Instagram accounts in Pakistan. And since we have been talking about both influencers, of which she is most definitely one, but also talking about fashion posts versus cancer posts and which will get more hits, I think she'd have a lot of insight to share with that. So Salima, you could first introduce yourself and then share just a few thoughts on how cervical cancer awareness can be, you feel it can increase stakeholder engagement. Thank you.
Hello Tara, Assalamu alaikum everybody. I'm so sorry to come late. My name is Salima Feerasta. I run a fashion and lifestyle blog, and I've been doing blogging for about 8 years now, and was one of the first to go into this field. And I've seen the field grow in Pakistan, and I've seen the amazing engagement and the genuine connections you can make online. And I feel it is the way to reach people very easily. People feel they know you online. When someone who's been following me online meets me in real life, they'll come up and they'll talk to me and they'll act as if they've known me forever, because I put myself out there. And I feel it's so important. For example, I will make sure that I get my pap smears done on time. And I have no problem talking about that. And I feel that it's so important for people who are in the public eye, and especially on social media, because you have those connections with people, where people feel that they can talk to you and where they feel that you are talking to them. When I go online, I always talk as if I'm talking to my best friend in front of me. And I think that's where influencer marketing really makes so much more difference. It's one thing to have a doctor tell you that you should go and get your testing done. It's quite another to have someone you trust and follow say that, look, I'm going to get my testing done. this is what I hated about it, but this is what happened. This is how it is, and this is why I know I'm done for another 2 years and I don't have to worry about this. I think it's important also for people to realize that it's not such a big deal. And one thing that, for example, I have a lot of mothers who follow me. So the vaccine for the, now I don't know how to say it, but the vaccine that stops the virus that causes some forms of cancer. There was a lot of talk about should we get it, should we not get it, should our daughters get it, will it affect their fertility, what will happen? And I think just having those conversations, opening up those conversations is very important. And for example, something like a drama, dramas have got such a massive reach, but for someone in a drama to have that conversation, you know, well, no, I don't want my daughter to have it, or yes, I do want my daughter to have it. Have that, engage with Hum or Geo or Aj, the big players in dramas. But that's a massive way to reach a larger population. So if, as part of the storyline, someone was to talk about that, that would have a huge impact.
Thank you so much. Well noting insight. And so that is bringing us short in our time. So we want to thank the organizers, IPVS, for inviting us here today, and our incredible esteemed panelists. As you know, we have newsprint and digital media from the News International with the amazing Nighat. We have the incredible Roxana, who has, incredible Dr. Nuzhat, who has her own TV show on TVOne. And we have the amazing blogger and social media goddess, Salima Feerasta, and a full house here. Thank you so much for being a part of it and the great questions. And that ends the session 2 for Ladies Fund.